And welcome. Got a full house. Must be something exciting going on tonight. Good evening and welcome. As we call to order, this is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Jenks City Council. Today is Tuesday, June 15th of 2021. It is 6:05 p.m. My name is Corey Box. I will be your chair for tonight's evening, for tonight's meeting. And let's go ahead and take a roll, please.
Short.
Here.
AJ.
Here.
Kaylin.
Here.
Isabel. Here. Murray. Here. Klein. Present. Mayor Box.
Here, let the record reflect that all our members are present. And joining us this evening for invocation is Pastor Lucas Smith from Battle Creek Church. Would you please join us, Pastor? Please rise.
Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight. I'm honored to be a part of what you're doing in the city of Jenks. We lift up our community to you. Father, we ask that we would act accordingly with your word. Father, that we would be ever present minded. Father, the ability that we have to share your gospel, to share your truth and your light with others in this community. Father, I do lift up each of our council members to you tonight. Father, specifically lift up members, Father, that have needs that have arisen, Father, due to health issues, Father, of other potential family members. Father, we just ask for your healing and for your protection over them. And Father, for those that are hurting tonight, we ask that you would be ever present in their time of need. Father, we love you. It's in your name we do pray. Amen.
Amen. Please remain standing as we pledge allegiance to our United States flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we're going to get our evening started with a proclamation, and we're joined tonight by the Jenks Lady Trojan lacrosse team. And I want to thank Counselor Isabel for kind of kicking this off. And we saw this happen last month with Counselor Klein, who brought our Jenks High School senior baseball team in. And so it's a pretty exciting time when we get to see some of our best city athletes join us. So Counselor Isabel, if you wouldn't mind, sir, you can kind of kick off this little piece if you would. And then at the very end, we'll make it official and read our proclamation. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Mayor. I'd like to say a few words, and then I would like the team and the coaches to come up front and as we read the proclamation. First of all, I want to share with you a couple of things. The Lady Trojan lacrosse team started about 7 years ago. Coach Emily Forbes put a ragtag team together, and I don't think they won a game their first year. She coached as long as she could, as long as her health would allow it, and we lost her last week. So it's a solemn occasion, and I want to acknowledge the fact that we are sharing her legacy right here, right now. I want to share two memories of her with you. In the early days, I could hear her voice state that find your voice, share your voice. The girls, she would tell the girls that. Find your voice, let it be heard, and give them the confidence to be able to play lacrosse. And I'll remember that. That's a memory I'm going to keep forever. The second memory is at the state championship game. Everybody ran on the field after Jenks won. And my wife and I found Emily standing in the middle of the field, walked over, gave her a hug. She was smiling and she was glowing. She was happy that the girls had won the state championship final. It was a wonderful day. These are two memories that I will keep forever. And I wanted to share those with you. Coach Emily Forbes, this is your legacy in front of me. Be proud. We are proud of you, and be proud of these girls carrying your legacy forward. Now, if you would, coaches and players, come on up.
I'll read it. If you can just introduce us to him, that'd be great.
Okay. Yeah, line up across the way. Because, Coach, you're going to introduce your assistant coach and all the players. Give us their names.
We didn't do it last time.
Well, yeah.
All right, Coach, who we got up here, sir?
I'm Coach Porter,
Yes, sir.
head coach. This is assistant coach, Coach Allen. And just super proud of these girls. They gave it their all this whole season and just fought to the end. Our word this year was perseverance. Boy, did they ever show that. So they came out wanting to be champions and showed it. So definitely proud of that.
Are we all seniors? What do we have here?
You wanna?
Yeah, let's
introduce.
Yeah, they're nice.
I'm Evelyn Tapino. I'm a upcoming sophomore.
I'm Haley Porter. I'm an upcoming senior. I'm Izzy Pankey, and I just graduated.
Congratulations.
I'm Emma Whalen, and I'm an incoming senior.
You can talk to them. I'm no.
I'm Anna Kikinar, and I'm an incoming. I'm Karen Schroeder, and I just graduated. I'm Ella Langford, and I'm an upcoming junior. I'm Kylie Coker. I'm an upcoming senior. I'm Kayla Allen, and I'm an upcoming junior. I'm Emma Brackett. I'm an upcoming sophomore. I'm Macy Halama, and I'm going to be a senior. I'm Goldie Crottheim. I'm going to be a sophomore this year. I'm Abby Salas.
Hey, Captain, Coach, who's your captain? Who's your student
Wait,
captain?
we have one more.
Oh, there are? I can't see. Oh, I'm sorry. Keep going, please.
Little girl.
I'm Sarah Kernan. Yes. I'm Sarah Kernan.
Wow, it's a young team.
Good things to come.
So you're the captain.
Yes, me and then Caroline.
So I have one question. So I just was on vacation and it was a rainstorm and the satellite TV was going out. The only thing that we could see was girls college lacrosse. One thing I noticed, I've never seen girls play lacrosse before, but one stark thing that I noticed is when I see the boys and the men play lacrosse, they're basically wearing half like football gear. You guys aren't wearing helmets. Do you have an anti-violence rule? Is this a fun? I mean, you're not allowed to hack. Nobody's wearing protective gear. What's the deal?
Technically, it's non-contact, but there's quite a bit of contact.
Yeah.
Like it gets pretty aggressive out there. We just aren't padded up like the boys are.
Totally not fair.
I mean, at least we're not as hot. So
What happened to you?
I tore my ACL.
Playing?
Yeah.
Mm.
our first varsity game.
When are you coming back?
Second surgery. So.
This is your second, huh?
Yeah, I got surgeries.
Mm. Wow. We'll keep you in our prayers.
Thank you.
Well, Coach, thank you guys for being here. If you guys want to stand, I'm going to go ahead and read this proclamation. We'll make this official. You can look at your audience. I'd love to have pictures of you guys. And then at the end, Counselor Isabel will probably join you guys out there and get a picture with y'all as well. Okay. So here you go. City of Jenks, Oklahoma, proclamation, Jenks Lady Trojan Lacrosse Day. Whereas Jenks Lady Trojan Lacrosse has a tradition of excellence over the last 7 years. And whereas in 2019, they accumulated 2 wins in the season and vowed to improve. And whereas in 2020, the season was cut short by COVID-19, vowed to persevere. And in 2021, these young women completed a 14-1 season, avenging their only loss in the state championship game. And now, therefore, I, Corey Box, Mayor of the City of Jenks, do hereby proclaim June 16th of 2021 in the City of Jenks as Jenks Lady Trojan Lacrosse Day. Congratulations. All right.
And athletes, I know you all want the trophy, and the trophy, excuse me, stays at the school. So the city has prepared a trophy for your coach, acknowledging everything he has done. And I will present this to the coach at this time. I'd shake your hand if I had one. There we go. In honor of Jenks Lady Trojan Lacrosse Day, June 16th, 2021. 2021 state champions presented to head coach Charles Porter by Jenks City.
Let me get out.
Oh, there's the mayor.
Thank you, ladies. Congratulations. I love your shirt.
Thank you.
Seeing everybody was
I'm just saying about it.
Literally every.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Give them a moment to depart. Carry on. Okay, at this time, we'd like to open the floor to any citizens' comments. If you guys are unfamiliar with this piece, if you'd like to say anything that is not pertinent or related to an item that will be discussed in tonight's agenda, you are welcome to join us. Very well, we have no citizens' comments. Let's carry on. Item number 1. Consideration and appropriate action relating to a request for approval of the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
We have a proper motion and a second on item number 1. Let's vote, please.
Short. OJ,
Yes.
Caitlin,
Yes.
Isabel,
Yes.
Murray,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes. Item number 2 will be pulled. Item 3, request to approve, deny, amend, and/or revise JZ 21 SUP-111.MI2 request by Bell Land Use for approval of a minor amendment to SUP 111. The general location is 528 East 121st Street. We're on page 167 in your packet if you have one. This is Hilton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council, and staff. This is minor amendment number 2. We did the first one earlier this year. And what started the whole conversation, Mr. and Mrs. Immel wanted to build their home on their property. We asked them to remove it from the specific use permit because it was the entire property. And at that time, we also learned that they intended to do a second amendment, which would also remove 2 more parcels or some additional land. So they're creating a lot split, which you just approved, and they're going to put 2 single-family residences. One of them will be an existing cabin, and the other one will be a new structure for their daughter. So she'll have her own parcel near her parents' parcel. So this item went to Planning Commission June 3rd. 2021, and it passed 6-1 with 1 commissioner absent. This is minor amendment number 2. And there are 3 tracts. There's the parent tract, which is about 27.6 acres. Tract B, this is one of the residential lots, is 8.741 acres. Tract C, 8.75 acres. If you go on down the page of 168 or page 2 of the staff report, there it lists the items that are allowed by right within an agriculture zoning, and single family residence is allowed by right. So we're not requesting to change the zoning at all. On page 169, it shows, this is actually taken directly from the code, and this is section 330. It talks about the bulk and area requirements for a ag district. The lot width has to be at least 300 feet, and as you can see, both parcels meet that requirement. They both meet and exceed by a large degree the lot area, the land area, the front yard setback they will meet, as well as the side yard setbacks, etc. On page 170, you can see the comprehensive plan, and it has that whole area as open space. You can see exactly what it's called. Parks and open space. I chose not to change that since it is still an ag zone property and it's one single family residence. If they decided in the future to do any other development, it would require a new specific use permit, and that's specifically regarding 5 Oaks. If they if they decide to do anything with any of the remaining parcels, including the parent tract, which is where their home is now, and the 2 new tracts, they would have to rezone and plat. So they're pretty well, this is about all they can do up to this point with the existing SUP. If you look on page 174, there's a photo of the entrance if you haven't been out there. And then it talks about at the bottom, what is the specific use permit? There was some information. Then on page 175, it talks about the evaluation. One of the outstanding items is they're in the process of building a barn, and I've asked them to determine all the uses they want for that barn before they can have their certificate of occupancy. Then the last page, page 176, excuse me, staff and planning commission recommend conditional approval of the requested specific use permit minor amendment number 2. And previously listed conditions apply, including identification of current facilities, especially the round barn. Barn use shall be determined by the building inspector prior to a certificate of occupancy. Item number 2, staff recommends conditional approval of the requested lot split, which you did already. That was done in the consent agenda. So the requirements would be for them to submit the deeds for signing. There's some additional easements that's been required by staff that was not on the exhibits presented. So we'll go through that process. And we've started that dialogue already. Do you have any questions?
Any questions for Mrs. Hilton? Council on my left? Right? No questions at all? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a proper motion and second for item number 3. Let's vote, please.
Short,
Yes.
OJ,
Yes.
Kaylin,
Yes.
Isabel,
Yes.
Murray,
Yes.
Klein. Yes. Mayor Box.
Yes. Item 4, request to approve, deny, amend, and/or revise ordinance number 1557 relating to JZ 21 SUP-111.MI2, page 179 in your packet.
So moved to approve.
Second. We have proper motion and a second on item number 4. Let's vote, please.
Short,
Yes.
OJ,
Yes.
Kaylin,
Yes.
Isabel,
Yes.
Murray,
Yes.
Klein.
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes. Item 5, request to approve the emergency clause for ordinance number 1557, making it effective immediately upon passage.
So moved.
Second.
We have a proper motion and a second for item number 5. Let's vote.
Short,
Yes.
OJ,
Yes.
Kaylin,
Yes.
Isabel,
Yes.
Murray,
Yes.
Klein.
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Robert, are you sad that we didn't give you an opportunity to speak?
No, I was fine with
You
that.
prefer it this way?
I'm good with it.
Have a good evening, sir. We'll get you next time. Item number 6, request to approve, deny, amend, and/or revise of TUP 21-48, a request by TNT Fireworks for a temporary use permit to allow for the retail sale of fireworks, the general location being 424 West Main Street. Mrs. Hilton, this is page 183 in your packet if you have one.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council, and staff. This is the 3rd temporary use permit for a fireworks stand within the Jenks city limits. This is brought to you from TNT. They submitted their application originally, and I denied it because they didn't meet the deadline for the sales dates that they wanted. They did revise their sales dates and brought it back, and that is why you have it tonight. But because of that, they have a 4 or 5 day sales period versus 10, 15 days. So TNT has been selling fireworks since 2003 in the city of Jenks at various locations. Their dates of operation this year will be June 3rd through July the 4th. They have permission, if this is approved, to sell Class C fireworks. I do not know what that means. I'm sure it's more than little sparklers. They will set up after June 15th and tear down by July the 6th. The commission heard this case on June 3rd. They had no comments. They voted 6-1 with one county commissioner absent to approve the sale of fireworks at this location. So the location is 424 West Main. And staff has been approached by the owner of that lot for a commercial entity in the very near future. And because of that, I didn't see the need to bring in gravel. And because of the short selling season, I did not see any reason for them to have any type of impervious parking area. So staff is asking for a waiver of the dust-free all-weather service. I did put in there that if there was excessive rain and mud issues, then we do have the authority to remedy that through requiring them to bring in gravel or some type of asphalt. And also, if my sentence wasn't worded well, but if there was a dust issue because it was exceedingly dry, we can require them to water and kind of settle the dust down. Another condition of approval is no access along Main Street, that everyone would have to access it from the west. So on page 187, it says staff and planning commission recommend conditional approval of the temporary use permit intensive to allow for the sale of fireworks. There are essentially 5 things in this recommendation. 1, prohibiting auto access from Main Street. Number 2, no on-street parking and meeting the requirements of the temporary use minimum zoning regulations. Number 3, someone being present 24 hours a day and that whoever is present has access to restroom facilities. Number 5, provide screening from public view of trash and storage. So on page 188, you'll see the lot. It is vacant right now, and hopefully that will be a thriving tax revenue in the very near future. Page 189 shows the zoning map. It's outlined the lot. It's actually 2 parcels. They're outlined in yellow. There have been fireworks multiple times at this location. So this is TUP 2148. And on page 192, you can kind of see their sketch, and then I added where parking could take place and that there can be no access off of Main Street. So they'll have to access from date. And I changed the sale dates. And that is it. Staff and planning commission recommend approval. Do you have any questions?
Is there anything in this application that's outside the norm? This is the same location. It's been approved for years. Same company. You put in 17 pages of work to approve a fireworks. I'm just saying this out loud that for the sake of getting leaner and finding efficiencies, this is a lot of.
Because their application was the bulk of it.
Yeah.
I can whittle it down.
Only if you're interested, but the same thing that I am.
Saving the trees were planted.
Is there a legal reason why we can't put a standard fireworks application in the consent agenda?
No, I think previously our practice had been if it was exactly the same as in previous years that it would go on.
Okay.
If something was different.
Okay.
So Molly, the only thing different on this was dates.
The dates and they probably have always waived the dust-free parking. I put it because we've had so many conversations between planning commissioners and city councilors. It was on the regular agenda.
Well, hopefully this is the last time we ever approve a fireworks station on this lot.
I hope so.
Make it happen. Any questions for Ms. Tilden?
Yes.
Councilor Murray?
And you may have mentioned it, but is it the no access on Main on the north side of there? What are they going to utilize to prevent vehicles pulling off into the grass and stopping there or whatever?
That's a good question. I have not talked to them. I just made it a requirement. I did not find out. I know in the past, because I read some of the staff reports, that they required barrels with flags and different things like that that would prohibit anyone turning in. So they may do something similar.
But it's something that you could follow up on.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Murray. Any other questions for Ms. Tilden? No other questions? Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve item number 6.
A second.
We have a proper motion and second to approve item number 6. So please. Short? Yes.
OJ?
Yes.
Caitlin?
Yes.
Isabel? Yes. Murray? Yes. Klein?
Yes.
Mayor Box?
Yes, sir. Item number 7 is an approve, deny, amend, and/or revise the second one-year renewal of the contract with the Jenks Chamber of Commerce. This is on page 203 in your packet. Following along. Appreciate the chamber being here this evening.
Yes, Mayor, members of council, I'll just give you a brief history and overview, and then I'll let Mr. Driscoll get some more interesting things with this contract. About 2 years ago, we overhauled the way we handled the Jenks Chamber of Commerce, Jenks Chamber contract. Previously, it was a very general, kind of loosey-goosey. The chamber provided community development and supposedly economic development. 2 years ago, we set forth a new detailed contract with a detailed scope of work, and the chamber truly took over some economic development duties and we set kind of a 1-year time frame for the chamber to also develop, in conjunction with the scope of work, a marketing plan and goals for the next year as part of the contract every year. So last year, that was incorporated, and we did the first renewal, and the original contract was a 1-year contract with 4 optional renewals. So basically giving us the option to continue the contract as it is without any significant changes. But the chamber does every year update their marketing plan and their goals and some of that. So this would be our 2nd year, and staff recommends approval. And I'll allow Mr. Driscoll to tell you more, unless you have any questions for me.
Any questions from Mrs. Miller on the contract itself? Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, it's a pleasure to be here this evening. I want to briefly introduce some people you'll be hearing from a little bit later. We have our Director of Economic Development, Zach Thomas. I think all of us have met before. Brittany Jenkins, our Events and Program Specialist, who just joined our staff. She started out as an intern, so we're glad to have her on board. And Lane Castleberry, our Director of Communications, who's also the Managing Editor and Director of our Tourism.
But is Brittany come full time?
2 weeks ago?
Yeah, no, it was this week.
Yeah. What's your title?
Events and Program Specialist.
Events and programs, yes. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And then we've also got, actually, we've got 3 former chairs here tonight, but we've got Rob Laper, who's our current chair, who you'll hear from in just a minute, Heather Turner from Anthem Road Academy, and of course, Mr. Mark Taylor. But
I was wondering why all the head was were here.
my logo was very Rob works. A couple of mayors on that. But if I could, just briefly turn it over to our chair of the board, Rob Laper, for a few opening remarks.
Yes. Welcome, Rob.
Thank you, Josh. Mr. Mayor, members of council, thank you for the time tonight. I have been on the board of the chamber now for several years. This is my first year and only year, I think, as chair, because they kicked me off after 1 year. But going into this process, I had no idea really what to expect, or didn't know much about a chamber or the way it operates. And I just have been continually impressed by the leadership that Josh provides and the people that he has surrounded himself with. So Zach, Brittany, and Lane, and Angie, and the work they do on a daily basis, I don't think we as citizens of the city of Jenks could ask for more dedicated, committed people to making this place a better community, a better place to live, to learn and work and grow. And so I think the value of the partnership between the city and the chamber is so crucially important. I know from a Jenks Public Schools perspective, where I work, our relationship with the chamber and the city has never been stronger. And I was honored to give a brief address at the chamber banquet a couple of months ago. And one of the things I remember about it is talking about, I don't really care what letter is next to your name, if you're Republican, if you're Democrat, I just care that you're Team Jenks. And there is nobody who is more Team Jenks than these people right here and the people who serve on that board. So whether it's economic development or the events like the food truck festival and just general promotion for the city and the community and what we have going on and moving us forward, these people give their time and their talents extremely generously, and our whole city is better for it. So appreciate all the work that they do and everything that they're doing behind the scenes to make this such a great place to live, to work, and to grow. So thank you very much.
I've got a question for you.
Sure.
If you would.
Sure.
You said that you gave a brief talk.
Was it too long, Gary?
I really enjoyed it, and your typing personality that is really out there, it will be very beneficial. So thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you.
Did you just assume that by bringing in Mark and Rob, that this is gonna be a laydown?
Well, I just assumed that, letting Rob go first, I would seem short and brief in comparison to him.
Last time we approved your contract, it was just you, and now I gotta say.
Oh, Heather was here last
I got
time.
Heather here, and everybody's crying.
She asked if the meeting was going to go until midnight this year, so I told her I didn't really know.
I brought a drink and peanuts just in case. My belly was growling the last time.
As we kick off, I just want to touch on a couple of phrases you may hear tonight. Elevate Jinx is our formal economic development arm, so that's going to be elevatejinx.com is our website repository. So that's going to be when you see economic development news or program work coming up, that's what you're going to see associated with it. The next you're going to hear is Discover Jinx, and that's the tourism, which we just launched the website at discoverjinx.com, so you'll see that as well. And of course, the Jinx Chamber is obviously what that is. As we kick off into Elevate Jinx, I'm going to bring up Zach Thomas, our Director of Economic Development, to touch on some of the stuff he'll be working on the next 365 days. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Thomas.
Good evening, Mayor Box. Good evening, Council. It's going to be back in person. Pretty excited for the next year. I think we've got a lot of exciting things and everybody's pretty open. So we'll kick off, go right into it. One of the things that we're working on right now is maintaining our business checkup program, which we originally called BRE, Retention and Expansion, but decided that it needed a label change. People were confusing it with member retention and expansion. Business checkup is really to go in and help identify issues and challenges that businesses may be facing and help them address those challenges. So far, we've made 34 contacts, which means we've met with the businesses, we've talked with them, we've identified challenges, and followed up. Next year, we hope to get 50, meet with 50 businesses and see what's happening with them. So part of that means we're trying to ensure expanding businesses, that's important for us. Helps create jobs, helps bring people in, etc. And then after that, we're trying to do entrepreneurial resources and development. We want to grow the business community here, so we started partnering with the Jenks Public Schools to create a youth entrepreneurship program. We're really aiming to get a spirit of entrepreneurship for these young kids to really hopefully bring them back and keep Jenks growing. So we're also exploring partnerships with Tulsa Tech, Tulsa Community College, et cetera. And then we're also, of course, working with you all up here trying to identify properties. I know we met with several of you trying to figure out what do we do with viable property importance. And then we're also pursuing businesses that can thrive, so it's part of our recruitment and retention or recruitment program. So far, we've contacted 80 businesses. So what that means is we've initiated conversation with different businesses, whether they be Jenks, outside of Jenks, regional, national, whatever. Next year we'll try and get 70 leads. I know right now we have 15 current contacts or leads, as we say. So you'll notice there's quite a bit of a drop off with that. What happens is typically a lot of businesses may just not be looking at Oklahoma in general, at the Tulsa market. They may say, well, we want Oklahoma City, or they're just not expanding at that time. So that process is we'll, look at maybe a random, we'll just say McDonald's, for example. We haven't reached out to them, but, we'll email them if we have a contact, or we'll call any best route, go from there, and then try to follow up. And if no response, then we move on. We don't want to waste our time with unresponsive people. If they do respond, and we'll continue the conversation. So, and then we're also working to build a strong sense of identity in Jenks. So part of that requires the Emerge program, really getting the younger people connected, young professionals, engaged in Jenks. That's a big aspect for economic development. We want to keep young people coming in. And then we'll be continuing to implement the marketing plan. So that involves our website primarily with our properties page and our demographics page as well, which a lot of businesses will come and look at those demographics, what properties are available. So with that, do you have any questions?
Yeah, quick question. The 34 contacts, are these members of our chamber, or is this?
No, these are all businesses within the city limits of Jenks.
Okay.
So they don't have to be members. It's open to everybody.
So what were their major concerns as far as the businesses here in Jenks? So I know we have more than 34 businesses, so how long did that take to go through 34 businesses?
Yeah, so what we try to do is aim for roughly 4 months, 1 week. And it's,
4 a month,
yes. Yeah, 4 months, correct.
like once a week?
Correct, yeah. So as far as, obviously there are more than 34 businesses. And that's why we have 50 business contacts is what we're aiming to make for next year. It's just difficult with low manpower to try and reach everybody. So we do what we can. Really, we want to build a relationship and figure out what challenges. And so challenges for them would be really COVID is a big one. And then right now it's labor. A lot of businesses are struggling with trying to find labor because of the unemployment packages right now. So we're waiting until June 30th to see what happens with that. That's a very common challenge that they outside of COVID. A lot of businesses, they suffer or have difficulty trying to get their new staff trained up with the top business skills. So communication, sending emails, customer service, such.
Okay.
You know, first, I want to say this. I think all of us, there's no doubt that almost everybody in this room probably loves our city, and I think we're fierce defenders of Jenks. All I'm asking of you guys is find another gear, find another level, find a way to make 2 contacts a week, if that's possible. Get in deep consultative conversations with people. It's, relationship building is more than just I'm here to give you a solution. A lot of people think the chamber, there's an association with being government. The government doesn't solve anything. So make sure those conversations stay consultative. Invite me to everything. I want to be invited to all of this. Every time somebody comes in this town for a visit, but it's not just me. There's people here that count the land that sell this city. There's people here that have lived here a lot longer. There's a young lady that owns a business. There's people here that coach. There's people here that bleed and love this city. And if you think you have a certain type of whether it's a restaurant or a certain kind of business that comes to town, I would encourage you not to leave it to yourselves to just hope that meeting goes well. If a Home Depot's coming in and Counselor Short just so happens to have a business contact with a GM of a Lowe's, that somebody lives here, we have some expertise, whatever the case may be. Let's know who the people are that are in this audience. And let's say, hey, you know what? It would be really helpful to Chief Ostrom as an example. Let's just say somebody wants to come and to create an OEM here to build fire supply. Well, why not? Heck, let's get our chief on that call. Let's get our chief on that visit. Let's find out what everybody's passions and skill sets are. Let's get the most sellable people we can, because this is all about selling and relationships. This past election is already paying off. It wasn't about friends, it's about people who know people, and it's already paying off. So look at everybody that we have in this room, almost anybody that's in this audience that I know would take a call from me and say, can you join me and help me close this deal? We need to close these business opportunities that we have. And we have all the right people to do it. So if you ever feel overwhelmed, if you ever feel like it's too much, Josh, you can't be there, or Josh is in this meeting or that meeting, call us, call me, I'll call Heather, I'll call Rob, I'll call Vic Breland, I'll call Mayor Dunkley, I'll call somebody, and we'll get the best people we can to make sure that whoever comes to Jenks says, you know what, this city's ready to do business, we're ready to negotiate, we're ready to be smart, we're not going to have a repeat of Mondo's. That actually ain't going to happen ever again. We're going to get business done, and we're going to take care of our city and help it grow responsibly. So we've got your back. Just make sure you know that. And all we're asking of you is, let's just see if we can find an accelerator to grow this a little bit more. I apologize for cussing. Sorry, you. I don't think I've ever done that. In 5 years, I've never cussed here before.
No, I said wait for a second.
Pastor's still here.
I will say that, I mean, 34.
Only customer I'm really emotionally good, passionate about stuff. So
I'm just saying, I agree with Mayor Box, about 34 contacts, 34 businesses once a week seems a little low.
Sure.
So, I mean, when you're in business and you're working with other companies, you could be seeing them. And I understand you want personal contact. I get it. Because we've been in business, we all have been in in business, financial, whatever it is, banking, or it doesn't matter. It's just one a week, and I understand the personnel issue, but we need to step it up.
I will clarify, that's one of the formal BRE calls. It's not, we're only talking to one business a week, but I understand your point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It needs to be-
we're not just talking to one business a week.
Yeah, is that kind of what it's?
Let me clarify.
I think if I went to work and did that, I'd be fired next week. I
Let me
was
clarify.
gonna say, that's great, you're going.
Well, we could certainly step up those, we could prioritize
Yeah.
those in terms of conflicts.
And we need to,
Yeah.
due to the fact that, we have lots of businesses in Jenks, and I don't know how many of you live in Jenks. I mean, we love the city, we want it to grow, and that's our big step right now, is the fact that we need to promote Jenks. Jenks is a wonderful place to live. Our demographics are amazing. And we have the best school system in the state. So it's just a matter of fact, we've got to get businesses here. And that's my big push, is the fact we've got to move on that a lot faster than we can do.
Absolutely.
Sorry, man, I didn't mean that.
No,
We can go get you by your drink afterwards if you want, we can all calm down.
No, good feedback, we appreciate it. That's, counselor or vice mayors.
Okay.
But anyway, have a lot of conversations over
Yeah.
here.
I'd like to take a second, not pile on, but I wanted to tell you guys thank you. I've spent the last 80 some odd days, I've been sworn in, fighting and leveraging my relationships, because that's what I've been doing for 30 years. And I wanted to say to this group here, they work the best off, if you tell them to. I think it's a little slightly unfair to put it all on them. I think it's on us. I think it's everybody in the audience. If you know somebody that has an opportunity, I think they're a good vehicle, but the vehicle doesn't have a driver. And we got to help them drive. And so at the end of the day, I just want to say thank you. I know Josh has done, he's dropped everything and done research for me. I've had several opportunities that I thought might be kind of pieces. I think it would be it's incumbent upon the council members to think what other opportunities are out there as we drive around. Because we do, I work in Tulsa and I've got contacts all over the country, and I know what other cities have, and I know that they would fit potentially here. And they're a great tool, a great resource to provide us data and feedback, is to say, hey, does this make any sense? Triangulate at this opportunity to go here or there. And I just want to say thank you, Josh. And I think this is a good start. The last 90 days or so is a great start. I think that we're gonna start getting some victories, and we're gonna get early, we're gonna get lots of them.
No, I wasn't arguing that, and I apologize, Josh.
No, there's no need to
If
apologize.
you took it like that, I'm just looking at, it's $100,000 from the city.
Mhm.
Citizens have to understand where the money is being spent and why it's being spent there.
Absolutely.
That's
We've discussed for a couple of years, we are on the same page.
absolutely, and I don't want to be offensive, I really honestly don't, I just need to, speaking on behalf of the city, because we all love it, is the fact that our dollars spent, and your justification is good. I just want to see it.
Absolutely.
Because we doubled your budget 2 years ago, right?
It was an increase, it wasn't double. But it was
Well,
an
it
increase.
was close.
Well, and for our community partners that are here, because a lot of you are, we have a working group / committee. Counselor Lynn is our chair of our economic development core, our committee work group, whatever we're going to call it. And we are working on kind of formalizing that in a little bit of a different way. But, when you think of a good idea, call Counselor Lynn, call me, whatever you say to me, I'll funnel right to her. I mean, she's lived here longer than all of us. She knows everybody. I think she knows where all the dead grass is, where the grass is so green. Lots of relationships. So funnel those ideas to her. And I know that she'll be a good steward of those. But, right before you came up here, the vice mayor was in the other room with me. She said, they're asking for the contract. Let's kind of rub it a little bit and make them work for it. Maybe even throw a couple of harsh jabs at it.
She told me that too.
That's where this is all coming from.
Okay, fine, we want to answer questions.
Oh, we didn't even talk. You just said hello. That's it.
Truth comes out.
Yeah.
No, we're more than happy to answer questions, as you all know.
You gotta work on it.
You had a chance this morning to kick me around a little bit, you didn't take it. We had a productive meeting this morning. I mentioned this to Councilor Short with the Secretary of Commerce for the Muskogee Nation. So that was a good kicking off point. We talked all about tourism and some other stuff. So I think we'll have more to report back to everybody, I would say, in a couple of months. So looking forward to that conversation and that relationship improving and growing there. But if we could just briefly, I want to hit a few more points before I bring up our next person. Something else that we're working on, and we actually talked about this morning as well, is Jones Riverside Airport as a resource for Jenks. It's right across the city limit line, but it's an untapped resource, I think, for our community and for our region. So we're working with them as well as I just made contact with the Oklahoma Department of Aerospace. I had to write it right here. Aerospace Aviation Education Program Coordinator. In short, they have money. Rob, I don't think I've told you this yet. In short, they have grants to help get more people into aviation careers so they can get to local schools. So we're looking forward to building the talent pipeline as well and encourage people not only go to college or get your continuing education, but come back to our community. You can find them here and make a living. With that section, I'm going to turn it over to Lane Castleberry to talk a little bit about our tourism program and where we're at with that.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, the rest of council. It's good to see you all in person this year. Well, it's exciting to hear the passion for Jenks as a recent resident myself. I've grown to love it, and it's great to hear how much we care about our place, and I'm in a unique position to promote the Jenks story to those outside of our community and our tourism efforts. So I'm looking forward to this year in doing this. So to start out, I just want to point out that we have relaunched our Discover Jenks website. It's discoverjenks.com. We also have a new logo, which you can see on the screen over there, to rebrand and be a little bit different than what we've had before. But if you have some time, we've modeled that after the Visit Austin website. We really enjoyed that website and kind of what it looked like. So we took elements from there and just kind of made it our own. But we're really excited about what this resource will be to businesses in our community. They'll be able to host their events, and we have a form submission that they can include all calendar events in one place. And then it's also going to be a great resource, obviously, to those who are outside of our community to see what all Jenks has to offer. We're going to have a blog. We're going to call that the guide. There's a current couple things there already, including like a food truck festival and running lists of festivals in our community. We have quite a few of them. Other community events, but we're going to have more and more content going in that section throughout the year. We're also in that section, we have some travel itineraries, travel tips, listicles, best of, that type of content. So I'm looking forward to developing that and pushing that out. We do have social media channels that we've developed, including Facebook and Instagram. We're using hashtag #DiscoverJenks for our promotion. Hopefully people are able to adopt that, and that actually is going to show up on our front page of the website. If you scroll down, use the hashtag #DiscoverJenks, it's going to show up some content there, which is a really neat thing. We're hoping to get some engagement.
So how does that work exactly? What do we need to do? So every time is this a Facebook thing only, or else?
It would be Instagram more than Facebook. Hashtags don't really work so great on Facebook. You can use them, they're just not as dynamic. But let's say you use Instagram and you tag the post Discover Jenks, that content would pop up on our front display on the website. So let's say you visit Esperance. Well, I guess that's a bad example. Let's say Angelini. Let's say you get Angelini and then you tag hashtag Discover Jenks. Apologies. But if you tag Discover Jenks, that content tomorrow.
I'm going to be laughing when.
Sorry. Also, we're starting up something a little experimental. Since we have Brittany on board now, we're going to do a TikTok channel for tourism. So we won't ask any of you to sing and be on that platform, but we're looking forward to finding ways that we can use that in creative ways. Also on the website is an option to sign up for our newsletter. In exchange for those who sign up for the newsletter, they receive a digital copy of our Discover Jenks magazine. We're going to continue to do that annually. We'll have that later this year, begin working on it at the beginning of next year. Continues to be a great thing to pour into the community. You'll probably find it downtown and many member businesses or just in general, anybody who Once how that does, you commonly find that downtown for other places. The next step, we're going to continue to partner with state tourism and local tourism entities. In my opinion, I think the Lieutenant Governor Matt Pinnell's done a terrific job in his efforts for Oklahoma. We're going to continue to partner with them and do what we can to assist. And I also just want to point out that Josh and I have been working with the Oklahoma Film and Music Office about their film-friendly community program. I think that could be a really great thing for Jenks. For a personal example, I went to go visit my sister on the East Coast in Georgia, and she lives 15 miles from a small town called Sonoya, which happens to be where they shot the TV show The Walking Dead. It's just amazing. This is before my time in the chamber, but it's amazing to see how much of an impact that show being filmed there made on the downtown community there. Because if you go into a shop and they would say, well, this is where they shot this episode, or this is where this happened, and there were a flood of tourists there. Just to see that, it was a big driver to bring in people. And hopefully, and the program that you do is you submit several photos of unique locations of Jenks to be a repository online for directors to look and see if that's a good fit for what they're filming. So we're hoping that we can continue to find ways to partner there and hopefully bring in some filming to our area if you really need. Then lastly, I just want to talk about Sharklahoma. I know that's been mentioned quite a few times, but we're looking forward to having that event. We do have the largest collection of bull sharks in the world, and that's a pretty big selling point, a really neat thing for Jenks. So we're looking forward to organizing events and partnering with the Oklahoma Aquarium throughout that month. And then Boom Fest is coming up. July 4th, I know you approved that, which is very exciting. We're looking forward to having that and partnering with the city and the aquarium working on that as well. I believe that is the largest and most vibrant display in the Tulsa region, so it's quite a thing to promote, and that's what we've been saying. But other than that, I'll open up to questions if anybody has anything for me.
Have you met local Jenks resident Brad Heath by any chance?
I don't believe so.
He's an associate producer at Cryptid Films. He does a lot of editorial writing for different magazines. He called me about a month or two ago and asked my thoughts on having Jenks become it's really not an epicenter, but more of a place for consideration for small movies and small films. So, so that's you. I can put him in touch with you.
Absolutely.
Okay. Great. Any questions, council? Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
What Lane didn't tell you, the reason Brittany's in charge of TikTok is she's the only one of us who had one. And knew how to use it, so. With that, I'm going to bring up Brittany Jenkins to talk about our community development services, specifically some of our quality of life and tourism events. And answer any questions you may have about this, Brittany. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. For those of you who I have not met, my name is Brittany Jenkins. I originally started in January as an intern, like Josh said, and I have since transitioned into an events role. I'm super excited to be in Jenks. Like you said, it is a great place to be. And I absolutely have loved Jenks growing up, so I'm super excited to be here. A goal of the Jenks Chamber is to add to the quality of life and regional appeal of Jenks as a place to live and visit. So our most recent event that we had, if you were there, was the Food Truck Festival. And that was the biggest food truck festival that we have had in 9 years. There was over 15,000 people there, and it was very exciting to see that. Our next event coming up will be a new event, and it will be modeled a little bit after the Food Truck Festival. It'll be a mini Food Truck Festival with a car show, and we are calling that Main Street Bash. We are very excited about that and have high hopes for it. Lane hit on both of these already, but I'll briefly go over them. The month of July is going to be very fun in Jenks. We have Boom Fest, which the city will be presenting. We have partnered with them to help host it. Then we have Sharklahoma. And if you guys have never seen Jaws, the movie in the shark tunnel, I bet it will be quite the experience. We have two more community events, which are Trick or Treat Main Street, which will be in October, which gives business leaders the opportunity to come and meet with the community, pass out candy to the kids. And it's also more of a safe event for parents. It gives them a little bit of peace of mind knowing that the streets are blocked off so their kids can walk down the street and get candy. Then we have Lights On, which we are very excited that we are continuing the tradition with Travis Meyer as our MC. So that will be super fun. This year, we will also be continuing Leadership Gene. And this will be the best year to do it because Zach and this is our first year doing it. So you can do it with us.
When's that start?
October.
October.
Are we fully enrolled?
No, enrollment's opening in July.
Okay. How many vacancies do you have?
There'll be 25 spaces.
How many are filled right now?
We have a couple carryovers from last year, so I think there's 5 to 7 from last year that are carrying over. So there'll be 18-ish left for this year's applicants.
It is a really good program, really, but
Be a good idea for some of our rookie counselors to consider becoming attendees of the Jinx Leadership Program.
Class of 99.
Did we really? We have one? We're sitting embarrassed watching that and Sarah joining.
It used to be at City Hall. I don't know.
It's gonna be at multiple locations. So we're starting a couple years later, moving around, so, Fire Station 2 will be one. We do one at the Oklahoma Crane now, the Hyde will be one at City Hall, one at Jinx Public Schools. Well, I think we repeat 5.
I really like that.
It was nice to talk about, that was more fun.
Yeah, when I went through it, it was all here.
Yeah.
Okay. No, it's, excuse me, I cut the microphone. No, it's great to see that it's at other locations and spread out like that through the city, the schools, et cetera. Thank you.
Well, it's great to hear all the good feedback from it. I'm glad that we are continuing it. Our next event that we have that's ongoing is a merge, and that is our young professionals group. So young professionals get the opportunity to meet with each other in the community at an after hours event and network, get to know people, and maybe make a connection. So, and then we have Women in Business. Women in Business gives women in our community the opportunity to meet with other women that have made a big impact on the business community. And with that being said, does anybody have any questions?
Questions, council?
You talked about the food truck event and other events in downtown. I'd like to see us try to do something once a month, year round in downtown, weather permitting, of course. Are there other things in other cities around the country that we can try to leverage?
Yeah, so we have been looking into a First Street Market where it's going to be once a month. And I found something in Oklahoma City and they do it at Scissortail Park and it's at night. So that was something interesting because we've been looking for something at night and I thought, Jinx, under the lights, Main Street, that's perfect. So we have been looking into something like that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. In July.
Okay. What about movie night? We can bring that back and let the cook burn the dogs.
That's what they was asking about.
Okay.
At this point, we're not planning on bringing back movie night. Our attendance was consistently around 10 people.
Oh, it was hot.
It was awfully hot. So we may in the fall bring it back for a couple of test runs to see how it goes when it's not 120 degrees. Yes, Council Murray's part of Sharp, Oklahoma, we're gonna have it's in the brand, it's like a community cookout event down there. So we were actually fully anticipating you being there. So I'm glad you brought that up. I'm ready.
Okay.
Just a couple of quick things I want to hit on as well. Global pandemic, we had a couple of benchmarking visits. Those will be resuming again, kind of going to look at some different cities and then planning in 2022 a larger one. The Tulsa Regional Chamber does one. I think Vice Mayor's been on, a couple others have been on as well. I think they announced that it's going to be in Bentonville. One of the one that was drivable. So we talked about Bentonville some day ago. We'll look at some other ones, just Jinx specific with Jinx business and civic leaders, so we can look at issues and speakers and topics that are unique just to what we're looking for. And with that, I will yield to more questions.
If I may make a comment on personal preference privilege. Recently, last week, The chamber sponsored the Bowling for Business. There were 2 teams from the Jenks City Hall, per se. Myself, Mr. Cloyd, Mrs. Tankle, and Mrs. Butterfield formed a group of people that got together and threw a ball down the aisle. But our own Mr. Macy over here was on the other City of Jenks team, who actually got 3rd place of all of the teams that participated. And I had a wonderful time, and I really appreciate being able to do something like that. And so thank you for stepping up and doing things like that.
Yeah, I
I'm ready for another one.
heard good things about it. Glad you're there. I did not participate as I am a terrible.
We noticed. You were judging or something.
Yes. Who was the high roller? Who was the high roller?
There was 2,
I think Kendra had.
5 or something, I think.
And you?
We threw the ball down there. There were 3 games.
We're consistently over 100. If you show up with a strap, they expect you to do well.
I didn't have the leather strap. I had my shoes and a ball, but
All right.
just saying, but thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from council for Mr. Driscoll?
I have a question. Ma'am, about the
Numbers.
numbers. What's your annual budget?
Our annual budget is 350,000.
350? Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from council, Mr. Driscoll? Anything else?
That's all I have prepared.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it.
I would entertain a
Item
motion.
number 7, just in case it's been a while, to approve, deny, amend, and/or revise the second 1-year renewal of the contract with Jenks Chamber of Commerce. That's
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, Mayor. I will make a motion that we approve this contract.
Yeah, a proper motion and a proper second for item number 7.
Short.
Yes.
OJ.
Yes.
Kaylin. Yes. Isabel.
Yes.
Murray.
Yes.
Klein.
Yes.
You're not.
Yes. Congratulations, thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate your
Yes,
participation.
That's it? Fantastic. All right, moving on to other business. Mr. Trout, with the city manager report, Mr. Carr.
No, sir.
Fantastic. Any report on InCHOG, Councilor Isabel? Any meetings this past week or 2?
Yes, if you would, I'm sorry. We had a meeting, June 8th, Tuesday, June 8th. I'm gonna briefly go over the agenda and point out that the first agenda item was the air quality report. Last year, we had 0 ozone alert days, and as of this year, today and tomorrow are both ozone alert days, so be cognizant of fueling a car, riding a bicycle, air conditioners, et cetera. So be cognizant of that. It looks like it's gonna be the same for the next 30 days or so. So we just need to be aware that even though we have a ozone alert day, doesn't mean that we've exceeded federal mandates, just for everybody to be aware of it. Feel free to go to, I forgot the site, ozonealert.com, and that will redirect to the new site in the city or region of Tulsa, ozonealert.com. All right, we also discussed the transportation program and approved a joint certification statement with ODOT for the annual statement certifying that they, INCOG and ODOT, are compliant with state and federal regulations. We also discussed the resolution for Federal Transit Administration Planning Grant and assign an executive director to execute and file grants with the Federal Transit Administration. We also approved Title VI plan to ensure compliance of all employees of INCOG comply with the Title VI Civil Rights Act of 1964 and as amended in 1984. It's basically non-discrimination, race, color, national origin, sex, marital status, and or limited English proficiency. We moved on to the approval of a nomination for the Tri-County Council on Aging. Ryan Staybell has joined that group. We did a final approval of the fiscal year 2022 budget, and I have that information. If you want me to email it to you, just reach out to me. We Did an approval of updated personnel policies, which did follow the Title VI mandates. Then we went over some contract approvals for the Met, ODOT, REAP, Tulsa County Community Development Block Grant, and then some basic house cleaning expenditures and payments for the coming year. Any questions with regard to income? Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Stone. All right, committee reports. Mr. Shroud sent an email out to all of us, and we had a discussion. I know initially I used the word committee to describe some of the working groups that we were putting together, and I guess it could have been cause for some confusion. So a second draft of that report was sent out. So hopefully you guys got it, everybody received it. I guess there's a difference. We only have truly one committee, and that's our budget committee. The rest of our groups, we're just call them working groups, and call them whatever we want, really. Anybody want to give an update? Anything at all? Councilor Lynn? Any updates? Okay, Councilor Isbell? Vice Mayor, anybody?
Yes, I was talking to the IT manager today, and we're finalizing the recommendations for the insurance policy that we're putting in place.
For what? Cyber?
Yes.
It's actually called.
I'll get back to you on that.
Cyber liability. Cyber liability.
Cyber liability, thank you. Okay, the IT manager has also put in place some firewalls to segregate the networks throughout the city. With respect to the aquarium, the gift shop was on the same network as our aquarium employees. They have segregated those out so that they are separate and will remain separate. Firewalls are an important part in securing our network, and that's ongoing work. We're investigating network monitoring and notification with regards to throughput, activity, server issues, et cetera. The city will be upgrading Microsoft. We'll see information on licensing in the coming year. It will come before council because it will be an annual type basis fee to pay as opposed to monthly like we have in the past. So we'll all be seeing that. I can provide more details of that in the coming months. We had some discussions about redundancies. So the beginning discussions about some redundancies, and as soon as we have more details on that, I'll provide those as well. Questions?
No, but I thank you for taking an interest in this and pursuing it. The week before I left for vacation, 3 or 4 of my customers in the state of Illinois, big counties are all been cyber attacked. We don't hear about it much because they're keeping it very, very quiet. Unlike the city of Tulsa, which kind of came out and disclosed this. So cyber attacks and ransomware are becoming, it almost seems like it's the flavor of that's what people want to do this year. I don't know if it's the high heat that's got people aggravated, but this is a really big deal. So if you guys get a text message from me asking you to update your city issued iPad, it's usually a critical update. I review them to make sure that I'm not sending you anything unnecessary. If you don't know how to update iOS on your iPad, call anybody, call Gary or come by. Mr. Stroud will help you figure it out. It's a pretty easy deal. We think all the time we're the city of Jenks. What's the likelihood of it happening to us? It is just when you develop that kind of mentality that it does happen to us. And I don't want it to happen on our watch. So please keep up with your information assurance, your cybersecurity, keep your iPad secure if you would. Anything from capital projects, Vice Mayor?
Capital projects, we should know something after the 21st of June. So I should be able to update our next council.
Is there a meeting scheduled? We have a meeting on the books for when?
We don't have a meeting on the books, but it's an important meeting that's on the books for the 21st. So we shall see what that outcome is. Maybe I can disclose a lot more information at that point in time. We've also been working on Mr. Klein or Councilor Klein with communications, and we've also gotten some. I know you've been worried about the city manager review, and I've gotten together some job descriptions and review information. So I'm going over that and get that done to you.
Mr. Strauss has said that he already has a job description. So at this particular point,
I'm comparing.
We could just kind of make sure it's up to date, goes up to our standards.
Right. That's what I'm going with other municipalities around us to see if there's anything new other than what we have. I'll get with Teresa and then we'll
localized. Councilman.
Anything?
Public safety has not had a formal meeting, but I've reached out to Chief Ostrom to kind of start a I want list that they could utilize, other than what I brought to city council last meeting about the manning levels. And I tried to reach out to the police personnel, and there are some issues going on that I was unable to talk to anybody there. And so we'll get together at some point and do some stuff.
Very good. Anybody else? Kelsey, fine.
Communications, also not had a formal meeting, but we've got some things in place, so we will have a very productive one in the near future. We've invited Ms. Katie Butterfield on board, and she's been vetting and analyzing a number of electronic communication apps and things outside of the social media realm. We have a social media segment of our population that we reach out to pretty well through Facebook, Nextdoor, Instagram. And so we kind of got that area covered, but we have a big segment of our population that do not engage on social media, but they do own smartphones of whatever brand, and they understand texting and things like that. And for whatever reason, they not partake in social media. So we're kind of efforting to aim at that group right now. She's currently a few things, text my gov, find it, fix it, see click fix, and a few others. And these are just simply quick methods to get out information. For example, let's say Stone Horse is going to be out of water for 6 hours to repair stuff. And we can put that on Facebook, and a chunk of people will see that. There's a lot of people that won't see that. So we're trying to spread our communication net beyond just social media. And we're kind of moving again in the smartphone area. And then once we get formal meetings underway, we'll entertain some other ideas. And matter of fact, she'll be, Ms. Butterfield will be looking over a demo tomorrow on See Click Fix. But we're looking at just quick methods to get out basic information, you know, for someone who maybe is not staring at a TV, listening to a radio on Facebook. So we're trying to really expand our avenues of communication. That's kind of step number one that we're venturing into.
Thank you, sir. And thank you for accepting the invitation to be part of our committee. Can I be invited to every one of those product demos?
Yes, we have one, I'll send you to.
I see many of those vendors all year round on trade shows, municipal trade shows that I go to. So if I can attend, I will, but I'd like to be invited. Great, thank you. Not much of a mayor's report. I was stuck in the very, very small Hilton Head Airport the other day, and my wife goes, "Hey, that guy looks familiar. Isn't that guy from Tulsa, the Tulsa Chamber thing?" And I said, "Mike Neal." And she said, "Yeah, isn't that him?" I said, "If it were him, we'd probably hear him." Now, Mike was talking on phone. For whatever reason, I couldn't hear him. I've never not heard Mike Neal. Everybody can hear Mike Neal from across the street. And I had one contact that was kind of fuzzy, and the other one was kind of clear. And I started kind of doing this, and I looked over and I saw the Patriot golf polo. I said, "Wait a minute, that's a Wasso connection. Maybe that is Mike." And I started focusing a little bit harder, and I had this announcement that said Tulsa something. I thought it's got to be Mike Neal. So I said, "Honey, I'm not really sure if that's Mike Neal or not." And then Mike kind of looked up, pulled his Knox clear box. So anyway, long story short, I believe there's a good opportunity that the Tulsa Chamber will be doing the annual DC fly-in. Can you confirm or deny?
Yes.
So one thing I know Councilor Short has not been doing is the annual DC fly-in trip. So if that actually does happen this year, I would encourage both of you to get connected with Mr. Strout pretty quickly. I would love for you guys both to attend. In short, it's an opportunity for us to go to DC and visit with our federal local officials. We get to see the senators, we get to see a lot of good folks, and there's a lot of interesting briefings. And there's a little bit of time for fun too. It's a good reward for the hard work that you guys have put in to get here. We don't pay you to be here, so this is one of the nice perks and one of the rewards. So if you can make time in your schedule sometime in September, as soon as you hear that communication, I would really jump on that. If you don't want to go, then I'm going. And if you haven't been yet, if you haven't been yet, then I would encourage you to do so. This is what I consider your reward for your hard work. So I would like for you guys to go. I've only been once, and I would like to go again, but I think we usually take 3 or 4. So I would encourage you guys to participate in that if you can.
It's very informative.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And I would defer to those who haven't gone.
And it's not in June, so it's not walking around the streets sweating in a suit like it is the other times that we've been. Any last closing comments? Anybody else from council? Any last minute?
And Josh will volunteer to give you tours of the city.
I do, I give a great nighttime one, Mr.
He does, it does.
Everyone experience.
Yeah, I've been there.
Do I start charging for it this year or?
You really should.
Yeah, yeah, $5 a head, I'll take it too.
Well, if there's no other comment, we can entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
They have a motion and a second to adjourn, so.
Short?
Yes.
OJ?
Yes.
Caitlin?
Yes.
Isabel?
Yes.
Murray?
Yes.
Fine?
Yes.
Mayor Box?
Yes, we are adjourned at 7:18 p.m.
I'll let you know later.
If anybody need a quick break before we proceed?
Wait, that's good to go. Let's go upstairs and take the meeting.
Works Authority, till Tuesday, June 15th, 2021 at 7:20 p.m. My name is Cory Box, I will be your chair this evening. Let's call, please.
Short?
Yes.
OJ?
Yes.
Caitlin?
Here.
Isabel?
Here.
Murray? Here. Klein? Present. Chair Box?
Here, underway at 7:20. Item number 1, business consideration and appropriate action relating to a request for approval of the consent agenda. For a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Got a proper motion and second. Item number 1. Let's vote, please.
Short?
Yes.
OJ?
Yes.
Caitlin?
Yes.
Isabel?
Yes.
Murray?
Yes.
Klein? Yes. Chair Box?
Yes. Full item 2. Item 3, request to approve, deny, amend, and/or revise resolution number 2021-07, a resolution amending the annual appropriations by $500,000 in account number 50-530-5250, also known as Jenks Public Works Authority Operating Fund of Water Supply Contractual Services for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2021, to fund the authority's purchase of water for the remainder of the fiscal year. We are on page 150. Mr. Southsaker.
Chair, members of the authority. This supplemental resolution or appropriation, the resolution is to appropriate $500,000 to finish out the fiscal year. The budget for the current fiscal year was calculated at $6.5 million. And that is a best guess estimate. Some factors that impact the amount of water that we purchase from the city of Tulsa depend on weather conditions. So if it rains, we of course don't consume as much water, so we do not buy as much water. Another thing that impacts usage is Green Country Energy, depending on their energy production needs. If they don't have to produce as much energy, they don't consume as much water. So this year, we've noticed that Green Country was trending above our estimate. So that we're using more water, and we're also selling more water to our residents. So at the end of May, we noticed that we have about $80,000 left in this budget. And to avoid the entire Public Works Authority budget from going over, we asked for a supplemental appropriation of $500,000. At the time of writing, we hadn't received the bills from the city of Tulsa because of the hack, and so we estimated that we would need $500,000. We received the bills yesterday, so it's more about $450,000. Again, any money that is not used, of course, expires at the end of the fiscal year, which is 15 days, and then that money just goes back into our fund balance. Do you have any questions?
Do you recall the last time we needed a supplemental appropriation to buy water?
Yes, 2 years ago, we did one about 3/4 of the year, and we did about 1.3 million.
What was with 1.3 million? Okay, so you weren't here, but were you here?
Yeah.
Well, no number here. Why were we off? You were off significantly that year. What happened?
So the previous year before that, Green Country consumed, their revenue was about $1 million to $1.5 million higher than we had anticipated. So they consumed a lot of water that year.
Do we have routine communication with Green Country? Do we take estimates from them when we build this into our budget? Or is this just based on historically they do this?
So the agreement with Green Country is to pay for the water that they've used plus a 25% markup. And part of this appropriation actually comes back to us since I believe $175,000 of June's water bill is Green Country. To answer your question, other than communicating, this is the amount of your bill, pay before set deadline, that's pretty much the extent of our communication with Green Country. And if they have any issues with the service, they definitely communicate with us.
So these supplemental appropriations for water have not been more.
No, actually, if I were to look back in our system, it seems like every year there was half, and of course, last year was COVID, but, and they didn't use as much water that we didn't need a supplemental appropriation last year, but in the previous years, we had.
Any questions from council? All right.
I'm gonna ask a question, but, in 2019, we had the flood.
Mhm.
You said that there was, they retain water when it rains and they don't use as much. So why was there some $1 million?
So it's the power plant's usage that kind of busted that budget. So they use water to cool their towers, I believe, and in their energy production. So in fiscal year, or in about 2018, 2019, we just noticed their usage just skyrocket. And they used it, they had to pay for it, we had to pay to Tulsa, so that busted the budget.
So there's no direct relationship between energy usage and flooding. That is fair.
Except you mentioned it when he said it rains a lot and we're not using as much. So that's why I brought it up.
Well, yeah, that does factor into our like residential consumption.
Right.
So if it's raining, or some people may not water the lawn, so that's consumption that's not happening. But if it's a really dry summer, then if you want a green lawn,
It's interesting that it wasn't as high last year. Everybody's tank though.
Yeah.
I find it odd, but okay.
Questions from council on my left?
And also on that, any usage, so it may have been kind of balanced out. So if residential was higher because of COVID, then any decrease in usage from Green Country would have allowed for that overage to cover from residential.
So the remaining balance, unused balance, just go back and continue to the same fund.
Correct. So it's an expense, but it's an expense that we recover or recoup in the form of water sales to our residents and to Green Country.
Understood.
Any more questions for Mr. Salcedo?
One quick question. You
Yes,
said
sir.
our current balance is 80,000-ish and our current bill is 450.
Right.
Do we need to amend this 500,000 or just let it ride? Yeah, I
I
know.
mean, there's 15 days
15
left in the calendar year.
We keep an eye on you so that, that money goes. But I was just thinking out loud. I have no problem with 500,000, just doing the math.
Any other questions for Mr. Salcedo? All right. Entertain a motion on item number 3.
So moved.
Sorry.
We have a proper motion and a second for item 3. Let's vote, please.
Short,
Yes.
OJ,
Yes.
Kaylin,
Yes.
Isabel,
Yes.
Murray. Yes. Klein. Yes. Chairbox.
Yes. Item 4, vote to enter executive session for purposes of conferring on matters pertaining to economic development, including the transfer of property or the creation of a proposal to entice a business to locate within the city of Jenks for public disclosure of the matter discussed would interfere with the development of products or services or would violate the confidentiality of the business. Entertain a motion.
So moved. Sorry.
A second.
We have a motion and a second to enter executive session. So,
Short,
yes.
OJ,
Yes.
Kaylin,
Yes.
Isabel,
Yes.
Murray. Yes. Klein.
Yes.
Chairbox.
Yes. The record reflect that the trustees have returned from executive session at the 28:10 PM. Those were cast. Number 4, other business, anything from the general manager report, Rob? Anything before, my friend?
Yes, I'm curious.
Anything in the monthly chamber report, or are we?
I'll give you some quick updates here. There's a conversation I've had with some of you about the national retail chain we were working with. We got a negative feedback from their site locator a couple of weeks ago. However, we had a follow-up phone call like 2 days later with somebody that said that the Main Street Highway 75 interchange may not be as big an issue as they initially thought. So we're still in the game. So we've had a lot of follow-up phone calls and trying to make Sky our best friend. So if we get back in town, we may be reaching out for somebody to plan and dine a little bit. And then Lane stole my thunder on the film community program. Sharp, Oklahoma, we're going to finalize our calendar Thursday for our events. So they mentioned the, if you haven't done it, it's a great event. I think Councilor Isabel been there, because I've seen it there for the Jaws night, where they have the debunking shark myths at the beginning of it. They show the film and the shark beer, and it's a lot of fun. It's I've asked Kenny for 9 years to do it, and he finally caved to make it. So, other than that, those are the kind of highlights on that we haven't really hit over. And I'll entertain any more questions or comments, or we can continue freezing to death. Any more questions for Mr. Christian?
Thanks very well. For the benefit of our citizens who are here, it appears that at least 3 or potentially 4 of our trustees or counselors will be probably heading over to George's afterwards for a bite to eat, since we don't get dinner anymore. No city business will be discussed. If you care to join us, please do so. George's, they are. Good. Just wanted to make that.
Kitchen closes at 9.
In case we had any, say again?
Kitchen closes at 9.
Okay, well, the big other house. That being said, if there would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. All right, proper motion and second to adjourn. Let's put it.
Short?
Yes.
O'Shea?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Isabel? Yes. Murray? Yes. Klein?
Yes.
Chair Box?
Yes.